Hey everybody, happy Monday. We're going to start off this video by spinning the wheel here at the end of the last video. For those of you that were at the end of the video that stayed long enough, I announced this contest and I had 3 people who are going to be rewarded. Well, 1 will be rewarded, but all 3 are rewarded, and we're giving away this Revolution Futura of Jordan Clarkson, numbered to 25. This is the first year of Revolution. The 3 contestants are everybody's favorite angry old man, Ed, FFM Cards and More. That's a channel I've just become acquainted with in recent months and really enjoy. And Shane Hulbert, who is a loyal viewer but does not appear to create content himself. So I am going to shuffle this 7 times, and then we'll do a spin to see who wins the card. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, 1 spin for the win. And the winner is Angry Old Man. Congratulations, Ed. Why don't you, if you don't mind, send me your address again. I know I've sent you things before. I don't know if I still have it, though. So if you could reply to that same email, I would appreciate it. Thanks for entering, all 3 of you. It definitely pays to stick around to the end of my videos sometimes. Let's move on to our mystery man of the day. This is episode 491. So this mystery man had 491 career doubles. As far as cards go, his rookie card is considered to be 1933 Goudey, so it's another old-timer here, even though he had been in some oddball sets starting in 1926. He was in the 1934 Goudey set. He was in the 1934 to 36 Batter Up set, the 1936 National Chickle Diamond Stars, 1934 to 1936, 1936 Goudey, 1939 and 1940 play ball sets. Then he disappeared for a while, and then he reappeared in 1954 Topps as a Washington Senators coach card. As far as his career goes, he was a rookie in 1923 with the Detroit Tigers. From 1923 to 1926, the Tigers had probably one of the best outfields ever, with this man in left, Ty Cobb in center, and Harry Heilmann in right field. All 3 of these guys would become Hall of Famers, and all 3 of them won American League batting titles with the Detroit Tigers. He's the answer to the trivia question, who replaced Ty Cobb in center field for the Tigers? When Ty Cobb got later in his career, this guy was moved from left field to center field. And you may think, oh man, that wasn't very nice of him. Well, Ty Cobb was the manager, and he's the one that made the decision to do that. The year he replaced Ty Cobb permanently in center field was 1926, and that's the year he won his only batting title. And there was a little drama to the batting title. Going into the final day of the season, he was 4th in the American League batting race, behind Babe Ruth, Harry Heilmann, and I don't know the first name, but another teammate of his named with the last name of Fothergill. And on the final day of the season, in a doubleheader, this guy pounded out 6 for 9 and overtook all 3 players on that final day and won the batting title. He played with Detroit through 1927, 1928 through the first half of 1930. He played with the St. Louis Browns. He was again in a batting race on the final day of the season in 1928, playing for St. Louis. And he was playing against the Washington Senators in that final game, and Goose Goslin of the Senators was his nemesis. This guy got out in his final at-bat. Ninth inning comes up. Because of that out, he dropped 1 point behind Goose Goslin for the batting title. But Goose Goslin, of course, would not sit, even though some of his teammates encouraged him to sit his final at-bat in the ninth. He did not sit, and he went out, took his at-bat. Close call on a pitch that was called a strike. Goslin got the idea, hey, if I can get ejected here, I'll argue the strike. I'll try to get ejected by the home plate umpire, and then I'll take the batting title for that reason, because he wouldn't have had an official at-bat. But the umpire knew what he was doing, and he said, I'm not ejecting you from this game no matter how much you cuss at me. And oh, by the way, there will be no bases on balls. They're all going to be strikes, so you better swing. And swing Goslin did, and ended up getting a hit to beat this guy for the batting title in 1928. The second half of 1930 through 1935, this guy, we're back to the mystery man now, played for the Washington Senators, and interestingly enough, the trade that took him from the St. Louis Browns to the Washington Senators was straight up for Goose Goslin 2 years later. 1936, he played for the good guys, Boston Red Sox. 1937, the good guys of the National League, the Brooklyn Dodgers. 1938, he split the season between the Dodgers and the Pirates. And in 1939, he finished out with the Pirates and then hung it up. After leaving Detroit, he played left field the rest of his career. Finished his career with over 2,500 hits. Lots of high batting average seasons in his career. Finished with a career batting average of .330. If you were with me back on episode 330, he was also our guest for that episode, although I didn't do it trivia style back then. He played in one postseason in 1933 in the World Series with the Senators. He played in one All-Star game in 1934. He's the guy that was up before the 5 consecutive strikeouts by Carl Hubbell. This guy walked. Hubbell shook it off, and then as this guy watched from first base, Hubbell proceeded to begin his 5 consecutive strikeouts of Hall of Famers streak, which is so famous. He was voted into the Hall of Fame in 1964 by the Veterans Committee. This is a tough one, folks. Let me know in the comments if you were able to get him. Heinie Manush, shown here on his 1936 National Chickle card. So Heinie will be our guest today, along with Jordan Clarkson there. And today, I am thrilled to show you probably one of the best trades I've done on the trading card database. Not necessarily for value, but just for interest. I made a trade for 160 vintage boxing cards, and about half of them are pre-war. So I want to thank Picker Jim S. and Elite Hunter, who through text messages have filled me in and educated me a little bit about these sets. I did not know what they were, but I was interested in them when I saw the gentleman on the trading card database saying he had a bunch for trade. So I went all in on the trade and got them, and I'm going to show them off. So, tobacco cards, boxing. Some of these names I know, but not all of them. But I'm going to flip through them here. We're going to start off with Abe Adel, and I'll probably get some of these names wrong. The backs of them look like this. They are Mecca cigarettes. Shows a little paragraph bio, and then it talks about some of the important fights that they were in. These are from 1910, and these are the T220s. Patsy Brannigan. These are like, I think James Elite Hunters put it well. They're like little pieces of art. Knockout Brown. Frankie Conley. Johnny Coulon. I'm going to butcher these names. That doesn't look like a boxing pose to me. It's kind of like a MMA more pose there. Leech Cross. Al Belmont. Dave Deschler. Young Donahue, and I noticed that a lot of these cards have a name of Young. Must be their nickname if they're under a certain age. Jem Driscoll. Looks like he's wearing a diaper. Okay, who's this? Charles Ayton, business manager and referee. George Gardner. They are little pieces of art. Look at that boxing bag, punching bag. Jimmy Gardner. Is that the spit bucket or the water bucket over there? Wood barrel. Definitely shows the era. Love that. Abe Goodman. Not heard of any of these guys so far, really. So if you know anything about them, and or if they're good cards or not. Jack Goldman. I've not read the backs carefully to see if they were champions or anything like that. Battling Hurley. I noticed a lot of the artwork in the background makes it look like they're, you know, at some fancy arena. Dick Highland. Joe Jeanette. Again, it's got the stool, it's got the bucket. A lot of them have some kind of number on the ropes. I've noticed 10, 12, 14. James Jeffries. This guy, I believe, was heavyweight champion back in the late 1890s. I recognize that name. Jack Johnson. I definitely know that name. Love that photo. Love that picture. Jack Johnson. Here's the back. He was heavyweight champion. I remember that. And then there was another photo variation of Jack Johnson that's got that fancy theater Coliseum look to it in the back with a chandelier. Isn't that awesome? Look at the boxing gloves. Jack Johnson. All-time great. Here we have Al Kaufman. Got a 27 on the ropes. Picker Jim S. told me that they oftentimes would fight well into the 50 and 60 rounds sometimes back in this era. Stanley Ketchel. Bert Keys. Not a barefoot boxer, but those gloves don't have a lot much padding to them. Patsy Cline. Again, in the ballroom looking arena. Little United States flag handkerchief around his waist there. Sam Langford. There is no card number on the back, but I'm starting to wonder if those numbers on some of the ropes are the card number. No idea. Harry Lewis. My boxing history pretty much is Limited to heavyweights. That's the only one I've really dug into before. Willie Lewis. Young Lowry. Look at that hair. These are gorgeous. Johnny Marto. Can you imagine if you were a smoker back in 1910 and you had to choose between a cigarette like Mecca that would get you a boxing card, or Piedmont or some of those that would get you a baseball card? Packy McFarland. Honey Melody. Owen Moran. He's got the punching bag also. Frankie Neal. Makes you wonder if they actually fought in these fancy ballrooms back then. Battling Nelson. Some of these guys are pretty lean, aren't they? Fighting Dick Nelson. Look at that art. Let me know what you think of these. This is Young Nietzsche. Philadelphia Jack O'Brien. I think that's what Fila is. Philadelphia, or is it just Fila? I don't know. Billy Papke. Hunk Russell. Jim Stewart. Jack Sullivan. Mike Sullivan. Wonder if they're brothers, because this guy's nickname is Twin. Don't see that it says his brother's name on here though, or if it's a brother or a sister. This guy here is on a rowing machine. Johnny Summers. Another Johnny Summers photo variation. This time he's wearing the red turtleneck. Maybe he's trying to sweat off some pounds. Eddie Walsh. Fred Welsh. And Ad Wolgast. So those are the T220s. Also got a stack of T218s. So we'll go through these as well. These T218s look like this. James Barry. And the backs are also Mecca. I know there's one or two in here that are Hassan. I just didn't want to turn around every one. Gives their win-loss record. Again, let me know if any of these guys were good in their day. Tommy Burns. Quite a pose he's got there. Jem Carney. Joe Choinsky. Joe Coburn. Look at that punching bag. That looks different. These T218s are also from 1910. Gentleman Jim Corbett. I believe he was boxing champion in the early days as well. And here he is when he's younger, so we call him Young Corbett. Also, let me know in the comment if you collect these, or if you have any of these. Leech Cross. George Dixon. This one says World's Champion on it. Look at this one. Mike Donovan, World's Champion in the 60s. And that's not the 1960s, that's the 1860s. Back when they were fighting bare knuckle. Mike Donovan. Look at how old he is. It says on the back that he's a trainer who takes care of himself. Palsy, Driscoll, and Glover. Little sparring match going on out there in the middle of the soybean field. Billy Edwards, World's Champion. Bob Fitzsimmons, I have heard of him. I don't know why. Beat Jack Dempsey for the middleweight championship. Okay. Johnny Frayne. Joe Gans. He's kind of doing that little karate looking move. Jack Goodman. Young Griffo. Some of these cards are not in the greatest of shape, but what do you expect for being 115 years old? Marvin Hart. John Heenan, World's Champion. And he was the champion, it looks like, in the 1870s. Peter Jackson. I don't know what his era would be. It says he was born in 1861 near Puerto Rico. But I mean, it looks like, I don't know, is that slavery depicted there? Or is that just people working the fields in the 1860s? I don't know what was going on in Puerto Rico at that time. James Jeffries and Tom Sharkey. I have heard those names before. Look at the referee. Wearing suspenders and a little bow tie. Very interesting. Ben Jordan. Looks like he's wearing a diaper next to some pillars, while people in straw hats watch a boxing match out on the green in town. Frank Klaus maybe. Just a totally different era captured here. Kid Levine, I've heard of him. He also has the punching bag that kind of looks like a bee hive. Like if he hits it, all the bees are going to come out. Jim Mace, World's Champion. Looks like he was born in 1831 and won the title in 1863 in a 19-rounder. Jim Mace, the gentleman we just saw, and Tom King. Fighting out in a grassy area with no gloves. That had to have been brutal. Absolutely brutal. Frankie Madden. Jack McCullough. Not seeing a lot of names I know here, so. Terry McGovern. Kind of wearing the diaper looking thing too. In front of a grandstand. Charlie Mitchell. I wonder if that is some sort of championship belt. If they had belts back in those days. He was born in 1861 as well. Known for being clever, it says on the back. Pal Moore. Jack O'Brien. Tommy Ryan. To get these cards, I had to trade 1,290 cards. Tom Sharkey, I've heard of him. Mostly set filler stuff. This guy was trying to fill in a bunch of sets from years he had taken off. John L. Sullivan and Jake Kilrain. Joe Wagner. Freddie Welsh. Tug Wilson. And then we've got the silver border from the same set, but the silver border variation. This is Palsy, Driscoll, and Glover again, but with that silver border. Johnny Frayne again. Got somebody playing billiards in the background there. Isn't that interesting? And then they put his shadow on the floor. Just a long gone time in history here. Kid Levine again with the beehive. See how they had to draw in the wooden beam there so that it didn't look like the beehive was floating. Kid McCoy. I got to look these people up and learn about them. Tommy Ryan. All right, so those are the tobacco ones. This is going to be a long video. I'm probably going to do an abbreviated run through the rest of them. I got a stack of cards from in the same trade, 1951, Topps Ringside. Most of them are in pretty bad shape. Jake LaMotta, Jersey Joe Walcott. I'm looking for names I recognize here. Look at this. He looks like a WWE fighter, doesn't he? Just all glammed out. Looks like his nickname was Mr. America. These are so gnarly, I can't even shuffle through them quick. Some of them say like champion on them. Featherweight champion 1944. Featherweight champion 1938 to 41. Jersey Joe Walcott, he was a heavyweight. I remember him. Well, I don't remember him, but I have watched some of his fights. Ooh, that one's got paper loss on the back even. Sorry guys, this is rough getting through these. Very rough cards. Ray Robinson, is that Sugar Ray? Oh, can't even work with these. This is what the back looks like, but welter and middleweight, 130, 129 and 2. I think that is Sugar Ray. In fact, yeah, I'm sure it is. Sugar Ray gets a podium spot. Jess Willard, that name rings a bell. This is the card here I saw that, you know, hey Antonio, here's what we want you to do for the photo. I think if I were Antonio, I'd say, no thank you. No, just let me stand in front of some people with straw hats and act like I'm fighting. Jim Jeffries. Joe Gans. Gentleman Jim Corbett. Heavyweight champion, 1892 to 1897. So some of the same names we saw before. Going faster here, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate it. John L. Sullivan. Of course, we all know him. Heavyweight champion. 1882 to 1892. Kid Gavilan. I've heard of him, but I've only heard of him in writing. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Here's Billy Graham. Not the pre-chair Billy Graham. Welterweight Billy Graham. He's one of the few guys that actually looks like they're using modern weightlifting. There's an action shot. One of the two, it's got the other on the ground there. Here's, oh yeah, Ezra Charles. Joe Walcott. Talk about a piece of art. Look at this one. Don Eagle. Isn't that interesting? Don's father, Chief War Eagle, was a top pro wrestler before Don. From the Caughnawaga Indian Reservation in the province of Quebec. Well, you learn something every day. Ah, here's the guy. Joe Louis, heavyweight champion, 1937 to 1949. Wish it was in a little better shape. Gene Tunney, heavyweight champion, 26 to 28. I've heard of him. Ezra Charles, 49 champ from 49 to 51. Paper loss, bad condition. Joey DeJohn, middleweight. That is all of it. So appreciate you sticking around way past the half-hour mark here. Really do appreciate you sticking around. You know, I gave a clue at the beginning of the episode. I said it pays to stick around to the end of my episodes. And I kind of did that intentionally because at the end of this episode I'm going to do another giveaway. So in this stack of cards were a number of doubles, and I'm going to give away the doubles. They are in gnarly condition. But the stack is like this. Jersey Joe Walcott. They're mostly the 51 tops. There's also a couple of the 1910s here as well. So if you're sticking around and want to get in on a drawing for the doubles, please send me an email, just like last time. And just, you know, in the email say you're in on the boxing cards or something like that. Second place, the triples. So I'm going to send this shorter stack of all the triples to somebody who enters, who gets second place in the contest. And then a third winner will get the triples. Very much shorter stack, but I will send these out to whoever gets third place in the contest. So first place, second place, third place. All right, I'll be sending out 3 prizes. So pays to stick around. Thanks for sticking around, guys. Long video. Appreciate you sticking around till the end. Send me that email if you want to get in on the drawing for these boxing cards. All right, that does it. Talk to you later, everybody. Appreciate you all. Bye now.